Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, the eighth of May, and I'm a little late getting back to discussion this week because I've had rather a full week with a combination of both professional and personal things that I wouldn't want to bore you with now. But I am late. I acknowledge that. Here's something else that I acknowledge. I've done a lot of moaning to you people about being quiet while on the module. But since my last feedback to you, I've noticed that there's been an absolute torrent of posts put on the discussion board, and I can't tell you how gratifying that is. There are still some people who are missing naughty, but the traffic of stuff that's coming in is gratifyingly more comprehensive. I was very impressed by the replies that came back on the A&P. Yes, nice smooth inner surface of hearts and blood vessels, in order to stop blood clotting on its surface. Obviously, that's the last thing you need. And some good replies to the controversial statements from Dave, good old Dave, stir up a bit of conflict, and also everybody got all the questions right. You know, the left atrial appendage, for instance. Even people who work in cardiac surgery don't understand the function and even that the atrial appendage exists. Likewise, the annulus. I only ever had one person in class who ever guessed what the right answer to that question was. Mind you, he was. I remember him. He was pretty damn good on his A&P. He was. So lesson 3. The people less inclined to reply to some of the questions that I raised in lesson 3. And I would have been interested to hear what some of your opinions were about causes and coronary artery disease. I mean, everybody seemed to plump for smoking and for diet. Nobody commented, for instance, on the film from the doctor, filmed in the British Medical Association meeting in Leeds, for instance, where he argues that fat in the diet has absolutely no relation to the incidence of coronary artery disease, because the French eat most fat in their diet and they get least cardiac disease in Europe, and the Russians have least fat in their diet and they get most. That takes some explaining. And also, I noticed in the replies that have come in so far that there is relatively little said from you about the role of poverty in heart disease, whereas poverty in heart disease is like smoking in heart disease. It's kind of 100% fit. If the poorer you are, the likelier you are of dying of coronary artery disease. Why the French don't die in more numbers, I can't imagine, because they're not automatically a richer society, I wouldn't have thought. Neither are they and they like their tobacco. Oh yes, they like their tobacco in France, all right, and they like their high-fat foods, as I was just saying. Maybe it's the climate. Maybe that the warmer the country that you go to, the less chance that you have of contracting coronary artery disease. You know, look who suffers the most: the Finns, the Russians, the Scots, Spanish, Greek. Maybe there's a meteorological element to it. Maybe warmth on your skin has an effect on your circulation that prevents coronary artery disease from developing. Who's to say? Who is to say? I mean, there's a lot of room for debate here. Of course, if we are saying that it's poverty that causes heart disease, then that raises a whole load of questions for the government. That's simply saying, don't eat cream cakes, don't drink too much, don't smoke. All those things concentrate the cause and the cure of coronary artery disease on the individual. But if you start to say it's poverty that causes heart disease, then that raises a whole load of social questions that maybe governments might feel uncomfortable with. I haven't had any reply yet either on the Barker hypothesis. I believe I've raised that in lesson 3. The Barker hypothesis is a very interesting take on the incidence of coronary artery disease. Not just coronary artery disease either, but diabetes and hypertension and stroke. The Barker hypothesis has some very interesting stuff to say. And if you're curious about the Barker hypothesis, take a look at the British Medical Journal website and put in as a search term Barker hypothesis and just see what comes up. It's some very interesting ideas about the cause of coronary artery disease. Have I got anything else to say? Not at the moment. I'll try and be a bit more on time next week. Keep up the discussions. The discussions are half of the lessons, if you get my drift. My idea is that you have a look at what's going on in each of your units, see, compare practices, send each other photographs. You know what I mean? It's so easy to do. Send each other photographs of your own unit, of your own workplace. You know, it's social, isn't it? Excellent. Well done, everyone. I'm going to go and listen now to this week's lesson about chest pain with Simon Thornton. I'm going to listen to it again because I forget everything these days. I will be in touch imminently. So speak to you soon. Keep it up. Bye now.